I'm not going to see your questions, so you guys can chat amongst yourselves. I'm going to get you caught up on some really extraordinary. And Anthony might throw me a question or two, but for the most part, I just want to get you caught up because this El Nino 2026 has been absolutely crazy. So what am I doing on the Port Hueneme Pier? Well, last night we were on the Estella for a twilight trip that was just fabulous. In fact, we live streamed that, and a tick under 2,000 people viewed that show live. It was fantastic. The support that we're getting here is absolutely awesome. So really great stuff going on right now in terms of that twilight fishing trip. Hooks Landing, Oxnard, California. You just can't beat it. You can't beat fishing with Daniel. Of course, you can go with Chris on the Coral Loma and Jace on the new Hustler. What a great landing with really nice people. We had decent bass fishing, calico bass fishing up by the rig. We had a big lingcod Moses caught that I just met on the trip and got to spend some good time with him and Eric and everybody who was on that trip. It was really a fantastic night. I'll get into that in a little bit, but let's go to Mexico and talk a little bit about what's going on down there in Ensenada. That local yellowtail bite has really slowed down. It's just not as good as it was at one time. I think it's a temporary low, or we're just in a transition where we're going to move from that inshore stuff out to the offshore where we're getting that influx of yellowfin tuna, Dorado. You know, we've seen wahoo in these waters. We're going to see more of that before this season is over. But a lot of kelp patty fish. Some days you get them, some days you don't. It's kind of the nature of kelp patty fishing. The vast majority of the yellowfin tuna on the kelps are they're really small. I mean, they're tiny. There's a lot of 5-pounders, 3-pounders, 2-pounders, like that, and then every once in a while you'll get a 12 or 15-pound yellowfin tuna. So there are some bigger fish mixed in with it. And I could say the same for the Dorado. I saw Victor at Blackfin Sport Fishing here recently with some nice 18, 20-pound Dorado. Mara Sport Fishing also getting in on it. That our friend Ihara Nunez for Sport Fishing, female captain in Ensenada. She does a great job. Lucky Sport Fishing. If you want to fish with her, I highly recommend. She's been catching some of that. So that's what we're seeing mostly in Ensenada. That is not to say that you don't have a chance at that local yellowtail. So you definitely want to bring your yo-yo iron, your surface iron, bring some plastics if you want to fish calico bass. And a lot of guys are topping off or just going straight for a rockfish, and that's been really good. Big bocacios, nice vermilions, and some nice lingcod. Now, just 15 minutes south of Rosarito Beach, you find that crazy man, Carlos Cortez. And I say that with love, con amor, because Carlos is crazy about fishing. He fishes hard. His backyard is the Coronado Islands, and as most of you know, that bite has been really good here recently. I'll get into it more when I get to the San Diego-based stuff, but there has been some spectacular fishing going on with regard to that. What are we looking at, Robert? Oh, some guy caught a fish down there. Shoot. We'll check that out in just a little bit. So really excellent stuff going on for Carlos at the islands. He catches a lot of rockfish. There's bonita, barracuda, calico bass, but good fishing for him. Long range situation. The boys that are on those 3 to 5 day trips are putting the wood to the bluefin. I'm whispering to you because I get into the bluefin bite here in just a little bit more. But there's some really good bluefin tuna fishing going on daytime and nighttime in several different areas. Some of it Tanner Cortez, some of it up there near Santa Barbara Island on the Osborne Bank. It's flat been great fishing for those guys. The guys down there on 8-day trips, sometimes they'll scratch out a decent wahoo catch at Alijos Rocks. You're dealing with a lot of sharks this year. That definitely has been a problem, so we have to watch that for you very closely. And then a lot of guys will go in on the beach, and there's been great yellowtail action for boats like the Royal Polaris. All those guys have been getting in on it. In fact, the Independence the other day was on the beach for a really good halibut, nice white sea bass, and a lot of yellowtail. So good stuff indeed going on. Let's go to our bluefin tuna bite, and we're finally starting to move away from that crazy full moon and its adverse effects on the bluefin tuna bite. Man, guys want to pull their hair out, and there's always that little bit of doubt that creeps into your head. Are they gone? Did the El Nino force them all the way up to Alaska? What's going on? And the reality is, once you get through that phase, they start biting, and they bit 2 nights ago for Max Nui on the Pacific Voyager. Had excellent fishing, 16 guys with limits of bluefin tuna. That was 96 bluefin. Max pointing out that the vast majority of that fish is 20 to 80 pounds, but you do run into that 100, 170, even once in a while over 200-pound fish. Some of those really big fish come on the kite in the daytime, but there's good bluefin tuna fishing, fly lining during the daytime. In addition to the night by Pegasus, West Coast jiggers on it last night, full speed bluefin tuna fishing for those guys. Mostly 50-pounders is what we saw in that bite. It was really good for several other guys. Many of the boats, I'm going to say the majority, had a great night on the bluefin tuna last night, and that is such welcome news to everybody. It should settle and bite now right on up to the next full moon, and then it's anybody's guess what happens. You know, a lot of times when you get into the fall, that full moon effect, the adverse effect, that pushing that bite down goes away. Sometimes it'll bite right through the full. So hopefully we're getting to that kind of a scenario. Let's talk kelp patties. And since we're talking live streaming and 2,000 people tuning in to our show last night, we're going to be on board the Old Glory Sunday night. The dog who's behind the camera there hiding, Robert Graber's hiding over here also. You should put Robert Graber at least on there because he's got such a great shirt on. Let me tell you. Yes, Robert, we love you. We're going to be, excuse me, as I choked to death, on board the Old Glory. In fact, the Ocean Odyssey with Scott Buchert, my son Philip, and all the great guys from XL Paving will be arriving on Sunday from their 2-day trip. They're going to come in around 5 o'clock, so we'll be there to probably live stream that. I think that would be fun with my son Philip. And then we're going to jump on the Old Glory with Clay Williams, and boom, we're going to go to the kelp patty type of bite, and that's what I want to transition into and talk to you about right now. Kelp patties, again, as I mentioned when I was talking about Ensenada, they are hit and miss, but for the most part, it's been pretty good. I saw Clay already this morning on the Old Glory with a nice, big, beautiful yellowfin tuna. Look like a fish in the 18, 20, 25 pound class, something like that. To be perfectly candid, most of it is that small grade, little yellowfin tuna. But you're starting to see a little bit more of the bigger fish, and hopefully we're going to get a pop on that every once in a while, but not very often. You'll catch some 40, 50 pound yellowfin, but a lot of that small stuff down there right now, it wants trophy. It looks like you're out of your mind if you throw one of those big sardines at it. So you're gonna have to drop your line down to 20 pound, let's say, a number 4 hook. Choose a good hot chovy. If you have trouble making a cast with a conventional reel, use a sliding egg sinker. That'll get you out away from the boat, and it'll keep you up in the water column just fine to get a bite. That's one way to do it. The other way is just to do a spinning reel. And I know that's blasphemy for a lot of you, but spinning reels are good now. I mean, some of these things have 40 pounds of drag, so you're not going to have any trouble. And man, you'll be out fishing everybody with that small bait and a spinner. So a lot of that yellowfin, hopefully we're going to see more and more of the big stuff. There's Dorado, there's been some wahoo, 2 that we know of. I heard of private boaters who were dragging some marlin jigs up there by Catalina. This comes from Joe Russo, a very great source of the Friedman Adventures family. And Joe said they came back and a couple of their jigs were clean cut, man. Just like somebody took a pair of scissors and cut those marlin jigs off. So who knows? I think that who is starting to get up into this neck of the woods. Real good variety. You got to pay attention. There's some yo-yo ironfish and poppers work really good on yellowfin tuna, so I would bring some of that. And remember, bait headaches are a reality as we're standing here on the Port Hueneme Pier, and we've heard from the bait guys up here. Man, it's tough making bait right now. Sometimes they have plenty of Dean. I know that Tim Marquez was on board the Islander at the bait receiver yesterday and said, man, we've got a lot of really nice Deans. So sometimes you're okay. Sometimes it's mixed. Sometimes it's anchovy or sardine. And sometimes you don't get much bait at all. That means you got to have some iron with you to make that happen. So pretty good stuff on the kelps. It's a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. May not be the biggest great fish all the time, but you're going to have a good time on that fish. All right, let us now talk about islands. Coronado Islands yesterday, another great day on the Mission Bell. The Mission Bell, I think he had 60-some yellows. I'm doing this all from memory today. And you know, I'm an old man. My memory's not what it used to be. He was up over a half a hump on the yellows. I do know that, over 50. I think it was 67 forkies. Nice hit. It's been consistent, really good fishing at the Coronado Islands. Mix in terms of the size, 8 to 20 pounders. Yo-yo iron, probably better than service iron right now. That has been the go-to. Actually, the go-to is a fly line Dean. That's what you want to be fishing with, or a trophy. That's working equally as well. But we have seen really great steady fishing, and there's been some anomalies here recently, like the Mission Bell in 75 feet of water catching a yellowfin tuna. The other day, they had a Dorado, all courtesy of El Nino 2026, pushing that fish up here. It is absolutely phenomenal what we're seeing. It wouldn't surprise me to see a freaking Dorado swim by here. When I get to the Channel Islands here in a moment, I'm going to tell you about guys catching bluefin, yellowfin, and Dorado. And the bat on the four.
Good. It was connected.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Hopefully the signal is good. So Clemente, once again, pretty decent. I say 0 to 20, but Thunderbird came through with a good hit. Fly line bait has been the best way to go. The iron bite there hasn't been that great, but I still have my service iron and yo-yo iron. You definitely want to have that. And if somebody could find some squid again, we might get those early morning bites, but squid's been hard to come by at Catalina Island. We've seen some great yellowtail action. Native Sun's been doing great there. Pursuit's been doing really good on the yellows. There's a little bit of bass, barracuda, and bonito also mixed up there, but not a lot. And then we get you up to the Channel Islands, where you have the occasional flurry of white sea bass. There's one part of Santa Rosa Island that has some squid, and you can make the squid there, and of course the sea bass are there. It is very hit and miss, but we're hoping somebody's going to pop a good one off again here. Yesterday, on board the Aloha Spirit, I think they had 8 bluefin tuna. They had a few Dorado. They had 2 yellowfin tuna. That's pretty crazy for up here in the Channel Islands. You don't see that every single day, and there's more of it moving in. We saw some Dorado taken this morning on the island tack. I saw them with a beautiful Dorado here already this morning, so there's some crazy stuff going on. You got a chance at that sea bass. There's halibut. Of course, the rockfish bite is fantastic, and that twilight bite last night was fabulous. Up on the rig, throwing your bait up near the pilings, catching some nice big calicos. We lost a couple of yellows last night out there. One kid, James, was throwing an iron up in the bow, and he was really a novice angler, really brand new, and his gear wasn't really up to par, but he hooked a yellow and had it right there. Nice fish. Daniel said like a 12-pound yellowtail that we almost got on board. A couple yellows, some big cabezon, and Moses with a big lane cut. Twilight trips on board the Estella resume next week, Thursday through Sunday, and you're going to want to become part of that. Really good rock fishing going on. We'll ride you up the coast, and we see some hits on the sea bass. They had, you know, half a dozen sea bass on the Coral Sea yesterday. There's good rockfish there. And then we move you up to Avila Beach, where the private boaters are catching halibut and white sea bass. The boats mostly on the rockfish, Monterey, good rockfish. Emeryville, up near Berkeley, Robert Graver informs me, is also catching some white sea bass up in that neck of the woods. And of course, they've been all over the king salmon out of Emeryville and up there in San Francisco. It has been phenomenal on king salmon. I don't know if that's courtesy of El Nino. I doubt it, since they're kind of a cold water species, but mixed with it, they've caught barracuda and bonita. They're going to be catching Dorado up there before you know it. This El Nino isn't even halfway cranked up. You're going to see more of it. Blue marlin being reported near Catalina and down below the border just a little ways. You'll see a black marlin up here, and I'm talking blues during this kind of an El Nino that are going to be those 400 or 500 pound fish, maybe a little bit later, but that is going to happen, and we're going to be catching wahoo out by the rigs again one of these days very, very soon. So some really good stuff going on. Local boats, San Diego, there's been some good sand bass fishing down there. Daily Double's been doing well. So has many of the other guys down there, like the Dolphin. There's a little bit of calico bass mixed in with that, and also we see the occasional yellowtail. Hadn't been a lot of local yellows lately, but it's not bad. It's pretty darn good. And then every once in a while we'll see, you know, that lucky white sea bass or something like that. Plenty of rockfish if you want to do that. And there's The occasional Dorado being taken on half-day boats down there. Up there in Oceanside, a few more yellows mixed in with some decent bass fishing. And then we get you up to, the Horseshoe Kelp. That's near San Pedro, California. And that place has been on one day and off the next. But man, when it's on, you're catching full speed, big barracuda, great calico and sand bass. They had a great day on the Victory yesterday. It really was fantastic. I loved it. And also we continue to see decent yellow fishing up there around Redondo. There's been quite a bit of yellowtail, mostly small, but yellows and calico bass has been pretty good up there also. And then Marina del Rey, more of the same as Redondo. Some of that yellow, also calico bass, and they can always fall back on rockfish and sculpin, and I kind of already covered what's going on up here in this neck of the woods. Local bite has been pretty darn good. All right, in the SoCal surf, man, I've already been looking down there, seeing if I can see a bean or two. Hopefully there's some corvina swimming around here. Down there around down around Bolsa Chica, there's so many corvina in the water, but they won't bite. Matthew Franklin has been down. He says, I see 30 corvina right in front of my eyes. He said they're as big as I've ever seen them. I toss a bait out in front of all of them, and they just thumb their nose at them. It's very frustrating on the beans. I don't know what it is. One of the days, presumably, that light switch will go on and they'll go on the feed. There's plenty of that around. There's been some good spot fin croaker by the tower there at Anderson Street and Pacific Coast Highway. We've seen pretty good fishing there. And there's still that little barred perch around out there in the Santa Monica Bay, around the Topaz Rock Jetty, some pretty good corvina. And up between the Hermosa and Manhattan Beach piers, we've seen some good stuff also. Hey, I want to remind you all, make sure you go by and visit FriedmanAdventures.com. Landing counts, boat counts, Friedman Adventure AI, Captain's Audios, a Kid's Corner, and so much more. And please hit that like button. We really appreciate it when you do that. I'm going to be speaking tonight at the Ventura County Fishing Club. Robert Graber is going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to record that, so I'll save that for you so you can see me go up in flames tonight at that event. And one more reminder, the dog and yours truly will be on board the Old Glory this Sunday night, H&M Landing, with Captain Clay Williams and his great crew, and presumably a whole bunch of really nice passengers that Anthony and I can't wait to spend time with. We love to meet new people. We love to bring them into the Friedman Adventures family, and we love the kind of stuff you do, like donating so many art supplies that we recently just sent down to Mexico to a teacher who donates her time to the children in the Bay. All that good stuff, all due to you. Hit that like button. I don't know, I didn't see any questions because I'm just, blah, 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 so I apologize about that. It's a beautiful day. There's some guys here catching some fish. We got to thank Robert Graber for providing an inn and food, and his wife, his son, and they couldn't be more lovely. His daughter graduated from Loyola. It's the place I was graduated from. They kicked me out of there. Go Lions. So really, really a great time. All right, what can I tell you? Take care. Have a great one. And I hope to see you really, really soon.